podcast. Shelby, we are back together.
I love when we're back together.
I do too.
And we kind of got like yin and yang.
We're vibing. It's feeling good. It's a Friday as we record this. It's kind of gray outside. It's very cold.
Too cold. It just went from way too warm to way too cold, way too fast.
Yesterday morning it was 72 degrees. I was outside walking the dog in a t-shirt.
Yep.
Sent my kids to school in t-shirts.
Mm-hmm.
Picked them up. They were running outside. It was 46 degrees, no hats, no nothing. I'm like, okay, we're going to be sick.
Get the vitamin C ready.
Gosh.
Yeah, I was the same way. I came to work. I had my t-shirt on. I'm like, dang, it's like 60-something degrees already. I step outside. I'm like, my hair's growing, like it's humid, all that stuff. What do you know? I leave work, frostbite.
Yeah, the Iowa weather had more moods than I do usually yesterday. So I was like, hey, girl, we can
catch up.
Yeah, agree on this. Can we just talk about how inspired we feel right now after the interview we just did?
Karri is, I mean, I was just telling you before we started, like, she is one of a kind. Not everyone can do what she did in the way that she did it. Like, it takes a special type of person.
Yes.
With grit, and even her talking about in the beginning, like, constantly calling every day. I'm like, not everyone will do that.
No, there are so many. She brought so many. There were so many great themes in her story. And by the way, it's Karri Rose.
Yeah.
She runs Rose Farm out in Norwalk.
Yep.
It's incredible. And again, to clarify, her last name is Rose. It's not just a rose garden. It is all types of flowers, but it's not just that. I mean, she runs workshops. She has classes. She has been featured by Better Homes and Gardens. Oh my gosh, it's beautiful. You need to follow her on social media right now. I promise. It's like a boost for your happiness every time you scroll past it. But yeah, I mean, shooting your shot, perseverance, not giving up, and then just taking a dream and turning it into a full-ass business. It's really, really cool.
Well, staying true to who you are. Like, I think so often we can get caught up, especially when you think long-term goals and, like, setting them for yourself and your career. Like she said, in the titles, in the money, in the follower count, and all that stuff. And she just breaks it back down to be like, no, this is what I love to do, and I love to do it with these people, and I want to continue to do it.
Yes. She does it for the gram, but at the same time, she does not do it for the gram. You know what I mean?
I feel that.
You know what I mean? I feel like we're the same.
I thought you guys were too.
Oh, no, I mean us.
Oh, us are definitely.
Us. No, I'm not going to compare myself to her. She's way cooler than I could ever be. Maybe someday.
She's got a cooler accent, that's for sure.
She sure does. But let me just say, be aware, Shelby's going to drop a Minnesotan accent in the middle of this episode, and it's not a Minnesotan accent. Or had we started yet?
Minnesota.
No.
For those if it gets cut out.
No, that wasn't right.
How do you do it?
Hey there, I'm from Minnesota. Oh, gosh, I got a great hot dish recipe. I just cannot wait to share with you. Oh, gosh. Hey, drive safe. How's your folks? Watch for deer.
That's a good one. Yeah, you're right.
I don't know what yours is. Yours kind of sounds like
Minnesota. What about Wisconsin? How's that one?
I feel like Wisconsin's a little bit just,
That sounds like your Minnesota accent.
Oh, it's different.
Okay.
It's different.
Charlie, what's his name? Charlie Puth? No, not Charlie Puth. Huh? Who's that comedian from Wisconsin?
Oh, yeah.
He was with the Quick Star.
Gee whiz. Yeah.
Don't you know?
Charlie Barons.
Yes. Puth. God.
Call us, Charlie. We need to get Melanie out here. She
loves her some Charlie.
She does. And you're going to love this episode. You really are.
As much as my new shirt.
Look at the new Bing Bang swag, you guys. Bing Bang, we're a marketing company in Waukee. That's what we are.
Just in case you forgot.
Just in case.
Read the shirt.
Read it. Yeah. Maybe, never mind. Enjoy the episode.
Bye.
Bye. Welcome to Jealous Podcast, Karri. Oh my gosh. But really, welcome. We're so glad to have you here.
Thank you for having me. I'm honored.
Of course. Yes. I'm okay, you guys, I'm just going to give you a secret. This is how you can ask that favorite person you've been following on Instagram for years to answer all your questions. You bring them to your own podcast. So that's what we're going to do.
Well, I'm so glad. Thank you. Thank you for that.
It was like, it just happened because I was on maternity leave. The girls invited you, and then I got back and I saw it on the schedule. I'm like, Yes. This is the universe bringing us all together. Yes. So welcome. We're just going to kick it off.
Let's do it.
Start grilling you. Yeah. Shelby, thanks for getting this all lined up.
You're so welcome. I'm here for support.
Of course. Always.
We first wanted to know just like a little bit about you. So get us familiar with where you're from, what you do, what brings you joy, all that fun stuff.
Do you have more than an hour?
Go as long as you want.
I'm just teasing.
We can continue this at Target.
Yeah.
Yes, my favorite. That's exactly right. I love it.
That's actually a cool idea. Yeah. Target talks.
With these on her head. And
yeah,
of course.
Like,
I'm sure people have worn Stranger Things, especially at that Target. People are always trying out their new looks.
Oh gosh.
At the West Des Moines Target.
I throw my leather jacket on, it's game over.
Hey, game over.
Great. So I was born and raised in Arkansas by a multi-generational farm family. I met and married my husband in Tennessee. So I am from Arkansas originally. And then I've lived here in Iowa for 26 years.
What did you farm in Arkansas?
No, my parents.
Like, what did they farm?
Row crop.
Okay.
And then my father, well, I would call him my daddy. My daddy is also a cattleman, still to this day, and he's 80 years old.
Good for him.
So I really get my work ethic from both my parents.
Yeah,
for sure. Yeah.
We joke that who would have ever dreamt that of all the children, I have all brothers, that I would be the farmer. Like, what?
Great.
That's funny.
That is so good. How many kids were there?
There's 3.
3. Very good. Just like in my house. All right. So, Ro.
Rose is going to be the flower farmer.
I would love that. I would love that.
You can have your goat milk soap. Isn't that what you want to make?
I do want to have an apothecary someday.
And you will.
You think so?
Yes, I do.
I tell you what, your brand, and we'll get into all that stuff too, but I do draw inspiration from things all over the place, and your brand is one of those where I'm like, I can definitely see me having like those flowers in there,
For
you
sure.
know?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's just beautiful. What you do
Thank
is
you.
beautiful. Yeah.
I appreciate that. It's definitely a million tears has brought me to this place. So, I'm excited to share that with you because I think there's a lot of women and men that are in the same type of boat, if you will, that you have a career for most of your adult life that you, in my case, loved, and then that changes overnight.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, and how did that change overnight? The leap. I always call it the leap when someone, does something so different from what they were doing in their everyday. What do you think? Was it like a culmination of things, or do you think you just really woke up one day and you're like, I want to do this?
No, it was one thing.
One thing?
Yes. So I spent 21 years of my life at AVEDA Corporation, and I had moved throughout the company 3 different times. So it was my dream. I'll just back up to say, after I moved from Tennessee to Iowa, it was my dream to work for AVEDA. And I harassed them literally for over a year. So you have to remember, when I started working for them, it was 1996. So it's not like we had cell phones, right?
Yeah.
And so I'd have to call their company and say, I just want you to interview me. And they're probably like, who is this girl with this accent? And we're out, imagine the accent from Arkansas versus the accent from Minnesota, right? I mean, just vastly different.
Minnesota.
Yeah. And so, so finally, literally for over a year, it took me, and they finally interviewed me. So I was in a role here in Des Moines for 15 years, but I've always worked remotely.
Okay.
Never did I live in Minneapolis and work there at Blaine. I always worked remotely. And then I moved to a director. So then I was overseeing a sales team for 4 states. And then when I left, I was an executive overseeing 7 states, the largest territory of all of North America.
All because you shot your shot and you harassed them.
Literally.
That is
persistence is key.
That is pretty damn impressive.
Right.
I think if you want something, you don't let up.
Yeah.
When I left, I was the youngest executive of the 7 of us. And so this is what happened. So I, as I mentioned, loved working for corporate. And a lot of times you'll interview people and they don't find joy in that. I had so much joy for so many reasons. The people, the culture, the company, the mission, all of it. I didn't love people breathing down me when you didn't make plans,
Sure.
but for the most part, I loved it. And I even enjoyed the travel, even though it was a lot.
Yep.
I had a fabulous team of people, 29. And so AVEDA hired a new president in the spring of 2017. She came from L'Oreal out of Europe.
Oh, yeah.
And their goal in hiring her is to realign North America. So AVEDA Corporation is owned by Estee Lauder, and within their portfolio, you know, they're always looking ahead, like where do we need to turn in order for the company to sustain itself, right? And so with that, her role was to realign North America. None of us could have ever dreamt that it would have been that deep and wide, right?
Yeah.
And so I'll spare you all the details, but myself and another executive were asked to stay. There were, again, 7 of us. She was out of New York. But then 44 of us were all going to be gone at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
My boss, my colleagues, my directors, my admin, everybody.
Just gone.
Yeah, everybody. And so I will never forget it. It almost felt like we were all in this horrible accident, and there was like 2 of us still on the island. Or I also say it's like someone handing you divorce papers, but you didn't know the marriage was unhealthy.
Right.
That's really how it felt. Like everyone.
survivor's guilt almost,
Yeah.
you know?
Absolutely. Because I
Yeah.
thought, how in the world would I stay when you just like took out all of these people who really made this company what they were? People who had been with the company longer than I had.
Right.
30 years, 32 years. So with that being said, I had to make a big decision. Like, do I stay in what I know? I mean, I made great money at a pension. I had 401k. I was 13 years away from retirement. I was 45. So just to turn from that in itself is petrifying, right?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget this. I called my daddy, crying. I don't even know how he understood one word I was saying. But he's like, why would you let someone define your age? Because I kept going back to this whole, I'm 45.
What a great
Right.
point.
Right?
What a great point.
I'm 45. What am I going to do? Because I still believe this, there is no other company like AVEDA in the industry, so why would I work for someone else? I work for the best. I'm not going backwards. So I knew I was going to push that chair up at the table and walk away. I just had no idea what that was going to be. And honestly, I didn't even know that they'd give me a severance. I knew they had given everyone else severance.
Yeah.
And that was really scary too, to go back and say, you know, I'm not going to stay. And I want the same severance. And then being really afraid, what if they said no and then I have to stay?
yeah.
So they didn't say no. They gave me a 17-month fully paid severance
Wow.
and a year's worth of stock to go with it that I didn't know about until the end, which was a
Wow.
huge gift
Wow.
in my lap.
Yeah.
And with that, I took a sabbatical. And if you notice, a lot of the things that I say, even on my website, is take a sabbatical. I lived in a time, and I think a lot of people do, that I was so busy being busy, right? I had I still have a family, 2 kids, a husband. I traveled. I had a big team, and I just didn't realize how tired I was
Oh my gosh.
until I left. But honestly, it took me probably 15 months to stop crying. I mourned it that much.
Well, of course. I mean, your life was flipped upside down.
Yeah.
I mean, everything you have known, everything you worked so hard
Right.
to, I mean, you know, you probably were like transported back to that time when you were making those phone calls and trying to get that job. And then all of a sudden it's just like
What happened
someone
here?
flipped a
Right.
switch.
Like new identity even. Like you have to
Exactly.
re-find yourself. So like, once you pushed that chair in and you went through your grieving process, because I mean,
It
again,
was grieving.
Yeah.
For sure.
like did you ever ask yourself, like, what am I going to do? Like, what am I going to do next? And what popped into your mind then?
Well, I was in fetal position for a long time.
Yeah.
That's just being brutally honest.
Yeah.
I mean, I can remember being like on my bed in fetal position crying. Like, what am I going to do? And I really leaned heavily on my tribe of people that I knew well, like within the beauty industry, people that I knew really loved me for who I was, and I had a great relationship, and they ran really fabulous, successful businesses. So I wasn't sure again what I was going to do, but I wanted to bounce a lot of ideas off of people, like, what if I did this? I kept going back to, I want to do something here at the farm. I'm not sure what that is. A lot of times when people would come to my farm, they'd always say, I wish I could live here. I wish I could stay here. It just would transport them into this place of just, I mean, we're only 20 minutes out of Des Moines, but it feels like you're in a whole other place.
It absolutely does. Feels like you're in a Hallmark movie.
Yeah.
It feels like.
That's a good way to describe it. A Hallmark movie.
That is my
Especially
goal,
this time of year.
Like when the big city girl comes up to the
Yes.
farm and she's there over the holidays.
Ooh,
Yeah.
we should, call Hallmark after this.
We should
Could we please?
get them on the line.
So let's see. So I took a sabbatical. So that was Labor Day of 17 that I left. That same year, my mother-in-law passed away in my home. So I look back and she had breast cancer. And I look back and I think that really kind of lined up beautifully. And that might seem like it doesn't belong in the same sentence, but it really does. That I was able to care for her in my home and to be there when she passed away. She lived, her home is actually on my property. And so I literally did nothing from Labor Day to after her passing away that didn't involve her or my family. Like I just did.
Well, for so many years, you'd been so busy.
Yeah.
I
I
mean-
stayed in my pajamas. It was really lovely.
You know what? I'm not comparing the two at all, but maternity leave, I did a lot of pajamas and being with my kids and being with my family. And because we're busy all the time. You don't just get to stay in your comfort and stay in that safe place and just watch your children literally grow. You just don't get to do that unless you take a sabbatical or you have that baby. We just can't. That's just not the world that we live in. And so how sad to have that happen. But you're right. How beautiful,
It was beautiful.
To be there for her.
And my daughter was in her senior year of high school and my son in his junior year. So I really got to be a part of all those things for both of them as they went on their way.
I'm sure they loved that.
It really was a gift. So fast forward, February of 18, I'll never forget this. Y'all are going to laugh. I was looking out my back window on my property, and I turned to my husband. I said, I think I could grow some flowers. And I think he was like, what? He didn't say it, but he was probably like,
Sure, sweetie.
there's snow on the ground, and you're thinking about flowers. So I just I'm someone that I pray about everything. I write in a prayer journal, but I also have a dream journal. So I just was journaling about everything I had a thought about.
Manifesting.
Absolutely. And so that February, I was saying to my great friend who was still at AVEDA, I was sharing all these crazy ideas with her. And I said, I think I'm going to reach out to this company that it's called Imaginal Marketing, and they're out of New Orleans that I've known forever, and just talk to them about branding and marketing and, what would that cost me? And so I called them. This is all happening in February. I called them and I said, I don't really know what I'm going to do. I just had kind of this big idea. I need to dial it back. But what would something like this cost for you to start some branding pieces and all that? And that night they called me and they said, we're going to do all this for you for free.
Oh my gosh.
And I remember once again crying. I said,
I'd be in a fetal position after that.
But I just remember thinking, what a door. This door just
Opportunity.
opened.
Yep.
I don't know what I'm going to see on the other side, but I have to walk through it because what a gift that fell into my lap.
Yes.
So that was February. I started at that time really thinking I wanted to do a B&B on my property.
Okay.
And I started to write a business plan for that. I reached out to a gentleman on Instagram who owned Sugarberry Inn in Fredericksburg, Texas, so Texas Hill Country, if you've ever been. So I reached out to him and said, I'm thinking I might want to do something like your business model. May I pay you to come down to Texas Hill Country and spend a little time with you? And he's like, I won't take your money, but bring your husband and come down here.
I just love how there's a common theme, and it is you shooting your shot just over and over and over.
Yeah.
And aligning
love
with
it.
some pretty good, cool people.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
The thing he could say was no.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
And I thought, I'm just going to put myself out there.
Yeah.
And we went down to Texas Hill Country, and you talk about beautiful. Like, if
Yeah.
I had the capital, it would be that kind of place.
Yeah.
And so he spent the entire day with my husband and I, and he told us everything. My capital investment's $2.3 million. So I was like, that is no. And then he's like, I'm dipping into my retirement. I'm like, that's a hard fast no.
Yeah.
Right.
I will tell y'all, even in the beginning, and I still feel like this, I'm more clear about what I don't want to do than what I
Yep.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And so I left there feeling very defeated because I realized this idea is not going to work for many reasons. I'm not risking at this time, let's say I'm 46, I'm not going to risk all that I have worked for this big idea. And what if it went south and I just spent all this money?
Yep.
So we shifted from that. But on that trip, we came back and I said to my husband, I am going to grow flowers. So that particular summer, I actually did kind of my first test market, but with vegetables, because I'd always been a hobby farmer.
Yeah.
We grew vegetables and we canned them and that type of thing. And I actually grew heirloom tomatoes, and I did kind of a test market on Facebook to see if guests would come to my farm.
Got it.
And I had a wait list. So that was kind of fun.
Tomatoes are a hot. My uncle actually has a small, it's actually a large tomato garden, but he takes all the proceeds, matches it, and sends it back to the Children's Hospital, the Ronald McDonald House.
Oh.
But I mean, those tomatoes, they are
Hot
delicious.
commodity.
They are.
What a great thing.
Yeah, and it's such a great thing. It's
Yeah.
a gift. Yeah.
Well, these guests were from like Bondurant and Ankeny and Saylorville. And so I would say, like, why would you come here?
Yeah.
Because you pass like how many farmers markets? And everyone said the same thing. Like, we wanted to see where you grew them and we wanted to see your farm. So again, just kind of all these like little small ideas were coming to me. But anyway, so I came back and I decided to enter the Master Gardening Program through Iowa State, which really that is where I learned to grow flowers. And it was a 15-month program.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
So even in the beginning, I kept thinking to myself, because my background at AVEDA is education marketing, and I'm a firm believer, it really doesn't matter what genre, if you will, of business you are in. They're all those skills and that business acumen is transferable to anything else you're going to do.
100%.
Besides, you probably should you should probably learn to grow some flowers if you're going to be a flower farmer. But I kept thinking all along, I wanted to have an education component because I'm a lifelong learner, and I, even from the beginning, wanted to offer workshops. So I'll pause there to see maybe how much more you'd want me to say there. But
I find that all super inspiring, and it's insane. I do, like, what is your business model now? My question is, like, how did you get from, okay, I went through this 15-month program growing flowers. How did that transfer to like what you're doing today?
yeah, okay, that's a great question. So once again, I found a lady in Southern Living magazine that I was like, I could totally see myself having a brand like that in 10 years.
Yeah.
I emailed her and she called me. And then my daddy and I went down to Birmingham to spend a little time there because, again, I wanted to see it firsthand. And I think what I really learned, and I'm kind of going around that question, but I will get to it. What I really learned from calling the gentleman in Fredericksburg is, looking back, I think that man saved me in so many ways that I didn't spend more time, energy, money, and I wanted to do the same with this lady. I have this idea of growing flowers, but is that sustainable? What do you wish you would have known? And she also had a retail component, which retail is my background, working for AVEDA. And so she had 3 brick and mortar stores.
Oh, wow.
So I wanted to see how all of that was done too. And so even in the very beginning stages, so once I knew I wasn't going to do a B&B, I started to think about workshops and lectures and having a platform for other people who own their own businesses to build off of mine and vice versa. Yep. And then I knew I wanted to have a retail component. What that looked like, I wasn't sure, but a lot of local stuff. And then I thought, I know I can grow some flowers. I certainly have the land to do that. But I think my business model has been very, like many, right? Because my brand was launched end of May 19, but we opened to the public in 2020, which sounds kind of crazy, right? During COVID. So my business model changed many times, and it's been very fluid, and I've had to change directions, but I could have never dreamt like sitting with the two of you right now, how fast the little brand has grown in 3 years.
Oh, I would say so. I
Yeah.
mean, even like I said at the beginning, I've been following along, and it is just since the beginning, I feel like, and I don't exactly know how that happened. Who knows? The Instagram algorithm knows more than we do.
More about ourselves.
Yeah. More about ourselves than we do. So, but yeah, it's just been insane. I was going somewhere with that, and you're going to say something.
I had a thought. So how did you, like, what tools do you think you used that were successful in growing your brand from this small thing that you opened up in 2019 to get you to this point now? What are some, I don't want to say like tricks or anything, but like, what do you think made it successful to grow your brand?
Okay, you're going to laugh when I say this. Okay, so in the beginning, I hired a girl who worked at Meredith Corporation.
Yeah.
So would you like for me to start with like 2019?
Yeah,
sure.
Starting there. Okay. So in 2018, I also met with Carrie Coppola, who owns Blue Compass. And I said, I have this crazy idea of something that I want to do, and I know I'm going to need a website. And again, as I'm building this business plan, I need to know what that might look like in terms of money. And he's like, I'm going to do it for you. And so
you must just be the charmer of all charmers.
She's that Southern Belle down there. She lays that accent on.
She turns it on. I don't know. I cannot explain it. So I thought, okay, I'm going somewhere with this. I'm just not sure how that's going to be. So then I had a lot of people say to me, you should just get started. I'm not someone who just gets started.
I'm sensing that, and I was gonna say that, like, what a great lesson in not waiting until everything's perfect.
Yeah.
But I mean, it sounds like you were doing like a little bit of, but like you were waiting and you weren't putting it all out there, but you were taking steps to, get it started.
Well, I've seen a lot of business owners just working for AVEDA for all those years that would just get started and then wish that they wouldn't have.
Well, what if you had done the B&B?
Oh, my goodness.
What if you had just not gone down there?
Yeah, right.
So, yeah, exactly.
But even in terms of branding and marketing and all those things, I know what I want to say to y'all.
Yeah.
And I know how I want it to look.
Yeah.
So I felt I'm not going to get started until those things are in place. So I hired a girl from Meredith Corporation who really helped me pull those things together and at least set my tone on social media from the beginning. Now, this is where y'all might think this is kind of funny. She came to me and she said, I think we're going to need X, Y, and Z every month in order for us to like really grow this social media. And I said, I don't think that you understand that I know like every hairdresser in the city of Des Moines.
Yes.
So there you go. There's my marketing strategy.
Oh my gosh. That is so funny. You are so right. Yeah. After I sat in the salon chair for 2 hours last Friday, we talked about everything.
Word of mouth. Power of word of mouth marketing.
So funny. I love that.
I do too.
I can tell y'all. So the brand was launched in 19. And we literally maybe have boosted this many times on this hand. Like I have not bought one follower.
Yeah, no.
I feel like my team is, and they're all just this beautiful gift to me because we all are risers, I would say. We all collaborate so well. We're all a bunch of creative. Most of us are mamas.
Yeah.
And we kind of work on farm time.
Yeah.
Which is, I said everything about my corporate life. I do not want to be called a president. I'm called the Chief Inspiration Officer.
Yes.
I don't want
CIO.
titles. Yeah, I don't want titles like we're corporate. I don't, again, there are things I knew I did not. I don't want to do this and this. But I think the growth has been so organically. But I will tell you, between photographers and hairdressers, they have driven so much of that.
Yeah.
And then we've been published 3 times in the 3 years we've been open to the public, which has helped as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
So what things did you want to include into your brand? You said you had a vision for it. What were like maybe 3 words or stuff to describe your brand?
Okay, well, when I describe my brand, I would think Southern. Mm-hmm. I mean, I want you, my hospitality runs in my blood, and I wanted you to feel that you've been transported to the South, even though we're just 20 minutes south of Des Moines. So I would say for the most part, like how I talk to y'all is how I want to talk on social media. I don't want to have two sides of my face, I guess.
Love it.
Yeah, so it's authentically me. Yes. And I'm not going to tell you anything unless I have something to say.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I knew from the beginning, and even to this day, I don't want to post 5 things a day because we have beautiful content. What do we want to say to our guest? And if we don't have anything to say, we're just not going to post anything.
Yeah, yeah.
And that kind of is I think for some people, just a different way to think. And for me, that is how I like to look at content. I don't want to be inundated. And, okay, so Southern, I would say, God, that's hard. I should have been more prepared.
I'm drilling you. I'm sorry.
To your point, though, I love, like, you have built this organic audience. So you know all the people that you have, the audience that you've grown, they are there for that reason. So they don't expect you to post 5 times a day, and that's also so great because a lot of brands don't have that. They're like, just part of the algorithm. What comes out of the Rose Farm content, they're waiting for, they're excited. It's just like, it's like a little hug, like it's like that little boost when they see it. So I think that's such a great thing to have too for a brand.
Absolutely. I want you to feel that we are, we always say this, like, we believe there's magic at the farm for many reasons, but that it feels Southern, that we're showing you maybe a lifestyle that you hope to have.
Yes.
So for me, I've always gone back to that. Yes, we're a farm, but we're a very pretty farm.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So when I think about even the way I share that with guests, I think about, that it's very pretty, that you belong there, that when you come to the farm, we transport you to this magical kind of sabbatical, if you will.
Yeah.
I don't know that I did a very good job of answering that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. What I got from it is you like to create an experience for all those that come, an authentic experience. Yeah. And so can you describe, because I don't even know if we've kind of touched on this, what is your farm? What do you do on your farm? What can guests expect when they come to Rose Farms?
Absolutely. So this is what we do on our farm. We are first a flower farm. Mm-hmm. So we're 25 acres of land, 17 acres in hay ground, about 3 acres are in gardens. We have 4 gardens. The largest garden will grow well over 20,000 flowers, and it's named after my grandmother, Grace.
Mm.
She was my maternal grandmother. And when you sign up for our newsletter, we give you a recipe from her handwritten cookbook.
Oh, my gosh.
Sweet tea is always on tap at my farm, and it's her recipe.
I love it.
And it's wonderful because we can always talk about her. Mm-hmm. And we have a candle at the farm that's her favorite flower. Oh. Victoria was my mother-in-law who passed away of breast cancer. She's our perennial garden. So her garden is in with that little greenhouse that's really put us on the map. And we're a little bit, we're more known for the greenhouse than I think anything else that we do.
It's so cool. So cool.
And so I want to come back to the greenhouse. Yes. But Victoria was my mother-in-law for 24 years before she passed away. And then Emma was my Mimi, and she lived next door to me. And my love of flowers comes from her, even though I'd never grown a flower. And that is our high tunnel that's spring plantings. And then the Carol Marie is my husband's grandmother that just passed away at 96 this year.
Good for her.
She had 87 people in her family.
Oh, my gosh.
Right? Whoa. A life and a legacy, and that's our fall planting. So it's wonderful because when you do come to our farm for that experience, we want you to walk around the gardens. We want you to leave your cell phone. Well, I mean, we want you to take photos, but we don't want you to feel that you're connected to the world. So sit in an Adirondack chair, have a glass of sweet tea, look at all the magic of the flowers and just the beauty, because we do live in such a fast-paced life.
Yeah.
And so flowers. We have workshops and lectures. There's 9 educators. We all do something different. Workshops are probably, probably, I know it is. It's the #1 revenue stream of my farm.
Yeah. What do you teach people?
So we have everything from culinary to arts to floral workshops, grapevine wreaths.
Do you do all the flowers? Sorry, I'm going back because I had a question. Do you do all the flowers on all your different gardens? Is it just you doing all the planting and all that stuff? Or you got a team now?
There's no way. It's my husband and I. We have interns from Iowa State and DMAC.
Oh, that's
and
great.
then we employ kids from Martinsdale St. Mary's.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so the high school.
Okay, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your thought.
Okay. That's okay. No, there's no way. The first year, it was myself, my husband, and Skylar, who I call my OG. She started when she was 17. She can outwork a man. I tell women.
I was just going to say the same thing.
Yeah, she's incredible. So we do workshops, we do lectures, we rent our farm for any celebration of your life under 100. And the thing that really works great for us is we rent the farm by the hour. So we have a lot of like garden parties and birthdays and bridal showers and baby sprinkles. Do we take weddings? Yes. Are we a wedding venue? No.
Yeah. There you go.
That's a great, yeah.
It's a good clarification.
Yes.
Little asterisk.
Yes. Farm to table dinners are a big piece of what we do.
Yeah.
I think the same chef.
That's what I saw on my Instagram was someone went to one of those. I'm like, I've never gone to one. So I'm just like, this experience is one that
It's lovely.
I want to indulge in.
Yeah.
And for me, because I had done focus groups before I started the farm, and I do one every year since I've started the brand, because I always like to see how well we're doing. And I don't just invite people who like me, because how are you going to learn anything?
Exactly. I really like that. I really like, I mean, you did this. This was a dream of yours, but you truly turned your dream and a passion, and developed a passion into a business. And I think a lot of people are like, I can't turn my little idea into a business.
Oh,
this
yes,
is
you
a
can.
business. You know, this isn't just like something you do for fun. And from the focus groups to the workshops to the staff, I mean,
very
it
impressive.
is very impressive. It's way more than I thought that it was. And I think people, they see it on social media and it's so beautiful. It's so much more, you know.
It's
it
so
is
much
a true
more.
business. It's hard work.
Yes. I say I've never worked so hard in my whole life.
Yeah.
Physically, emotionally, because it is mine. That's exciting.
yours.
But it's my brain runs all the time. Like, what's next? What are we not doing well enough? I mean, for me, that whole guest service piece is such a big piece of what we do at the farm. We're open 5 days a week to the public, and we're open from March to December. Yet next year we're going to open the farm in February.
Yeah,
and this will be our second year to be the Home and Gardens inspiration stage, so that's pretty exciting too.
Yes, I saw you last year there.
Okay.
Yes.
You are a little stalker.
I know, and that was by coincidence. I'm sorry, I wasn't stalking you, but yeah,
I'm kidding.
You have to open in February because that's when this whole dream came to be. So you have
that's
to.
true.
You have to.
I spend most days just being scared. I mean, I'm still really scared.
Well, that's what I was going to ask next. A question popped in my head. What would you tell yourself from that girl that was pushed in the chair at AVEDA, was ready to go? You were 15 months, like not knowing what to do. What would you tell her today?
Well, I would tell her, I mean, it goes back to what my daddy said. Don't let anyone define you by your age or what you think you can or cannot do. You can learn anything.
Yeah.
And surround yourself with the people. I mean, I call them a tribe, but I would not be sitting here talking to y'all without the people who have believed in me from the beginning, who've cheered me on, who've given time and talent. Most of them are in unpaid positions. They just believe in my crazy dream. You know, I would just say, if you could only see in 3 years that this crazy idea might actually work.
I got chills.
Yeah, no, I do too. Plus, you're gonna be surrounded by flowers all the time. Fine.
Yes,
Fine.
right.
Oh my
It'll all
gosh.
work out.
It'll all work out.
Where do you see your business going, I guess? Because you said you just have this crazy dream. Like, what is next?
Oh,
for
I
Rosemary?
can't wait to tell you this. I have a lot of dreams in my heart. So my grandmother, my maternal grandmother, Grace, she grew up and raised my mom and all her siblings in a time that there wasn't government help. So she would bake on the side for extra money. This is her handwritten cookbook that I want to publish.
Oh.
I want to publish it with my team. So Adam Schoner is our only gentleman though on the team, and he is a master baker. He's in the Ivy School of Business, and he's been with me since day one. So I see that he will take her recipes and make them come to life. Christine Hilbert, who is our illustrator at the farm, she teaches watercolor. I see her illustrating. Christine Eady, who is the most amazing storyteller ever, will tell those stories. And then Laura Wills, who's our lifestyle photographer, will bring that to life through photos. So that is on my dream list. My children are adopted out of foster care, and I am very passionate about the work that is done for children. And so I want Christine to write a book called The Adventures of Oscar and Luna that will be a story that you belong. That you belong no matter how your journey takes you in life.
Well, yeah, that just makes me emotional.
Yeah, I'm getting a tear.
But telling it through our animals, because both my dogs have been drop-offs.
Oh.
I've had 3 cats. So, I live in the country and people think I own the KRL. Carrie's Rescue League, just bring them on, take them.
KRL.
Yeah, so I want to do more work. For that, I chair an event for Wildwood Hills Ranch, and I'm so passionate about the work they do at the ranch and how many kids are impacted. And there's so many kids that we don't even know about. So we could do a whole other podcast on that. So that, and then we just hired an architect who is going to help us take my big idea and bring it down small. So how does the farm look in the next 10 years? Because honestly, my dream is to be Blackberry Farm at a real small scale.
Yeah.
So that's kind of it.
I love dreaming big. We dream big around here all the time.
You do. I like how you said you had dreams in your heart. That's a good way to put it. Because we carry those with us all the time. I've talked about the apothecary 17 times on this very podcast. And one day I'm going to be gone. You know where I'm going to be.
Their little shop in Sigourney.
I'm going to be wearing an apron.
Yeah. I love it.
Selling your goats. So
yeah, that's right. Need to get a goat first, maybe. Maybe 2.
Hey, she didn't know how to plant flowers.
That's right. That's so right.
Oh my gosh, what a beautiful story. What a beautiful, beautiful story. I've always been interested. I wouldn't know until I asked. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh my goodness.
And where can people find you and what you guys are doing over at Rose Farms? Can you do a little plug?
You bet. So you can go to our website, or you could Google Rose Farmstead. It'll pull it right up, because imagine how many Rose Farms there are. And I always say, my last name is Rose, and I do grow some roses, but I am not a rose farmer only. And sometimes they think that I only grow roses. So you can find us on social media, Rose Farmstead or Rose Farm. You can go to our website at rosefarmstead.com.
I love it. I did have one last question. I was curious, and it popped in my head while you were talking. I wanted to know the significance of the bee in your branding. But then you were saying busy, and I'm like, wait, is it busy bee? Or I was just curious why you had a bee in your brand.
So we're beekeepers.
Oh, okay.
They do it all.
Yeah,
See,
we're beekeepers, and we feel so strongly about the sustainability piece. And if you think about a honeybee is what, I'm a farmer, so we need bees in order for that pollination process to happen. So that's really where the bee comes in on the rose. So Rose is my last name. And if you think about, if anything, with the things that you've read on the website, we talk a lot about sustainability and being good stewards of the world. And we have farm school in the summer for kids, which is my favorite thing that I've ever created at my farm. I can't wait to see how that takes off next year. But so that's where it came from.
Okay.
Yeah.
It took me 40 minutes, but I
That's
got there.
okay. That's okay.
We always do.
We always do.
And I didn't even say, when I was telling all the things I do for the farm, how did I forget farm school? It's like my favorite thing I do.
That's why I was like,
So
there's
we'll
so
see.
many things.
I know. We'll see like 150 kids on a Friday. It's free. We love
Very
it
good.
because we can teach kids so many different things, and we don't charge for it. So every kid belongs at my farm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I love that so much. And I love every time scrolling social media and I see someone else that's taken their family picture in front of your greenhouse. That is so cool. I mean, you're really building a legacy that is, other people are going to have those photos of your farm hanging in their homes for years and years and years. How cool is that?
Thank you.
Yeah.
I do think guests get really excited because we close the farm in between the seasons and restage them, and we kind of create this excitement. Oh my gosh, what's it going to look like? But I'm telling y'all, after the fall pumpkin house, I do not have another idea. I don't know how it gets any better than that.
Where did those ideas come from? Is it you or is it your whole team?
I think it's a collaboration.
Yeah.
I usually kind of have the idea and then we build off of it.
Yeah.
Certainly for Christmas, Allie and Christine are my 2 OGs, and we go away for a few days and kind of dream about Christmas. Fall, I had seen, my daddy and I went to a place in Arkansas that I saw something similar to that. Then I give those ideas to my husband, and he sketches it out, and it's always a million times better than how I dreamt it in the beginning.
Oh, that's so nice to have a teammate right there with you to be able to bring your dreams to life. We all need that. We all need that. Oh my gosh, I could talk to you for another 42 minutes.
I know. I keep asking
so
questions.
much for having me.
Oh, thank you. It's
been a pleasure.
Great. I think anyone that listens to this, they're going to be, it's a great testament. Again, if you have that idea and it keeps nagging at you, then give it a little bit of attention. Just give it a little bit of water, like the fiddle fig leaf. It needs a little bit of water for it to grow, because you have built something truly incredible.
Thank you.
And it's impacting a lot of people.
Thank you so much.
Everybody, yeah. Thank you so much.
Amazing.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you both.
Thank you. Bye-bye.